Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is turkey gravy and garlic potato puree. Well, today I'm going to walk you through the very simple process of making the most flavorful turkey gravy you can imagine, and it's going to incorporate a couple of ingredients from our past videos, including the how to make turkey stock video and our most recent video, the smoked holiday turkey, in which we produced those pan drippings that all fell out of that turkey as it roasted on the bed of root vegetables. We're gonna bring it all together super easy. So on top of that, I wanna add on this roasted garlic puree. Now this is a fantastic base for laying your turkey on top of. It is not mashed potatoes. I repeat, it is not mashed potatoes, but it is super flavorful. It's a much runnier consistency, so you're somewhere in between potato soup and mashed potatoes, but the flavor is outstanding. So we're gonna start with the garlic potato puree, and I've got here 2 pounds of russet potatoes. Now obviously you could scale this recipe up if you want to make more or feeding a crowd, and it just depends on how big your serving sizes are, but as a base layer for whatever you're laying your turkey down on, or just in general, this is great to go with steaks. I would say that you probably only need about 1/3 of a cup, in which case you're gonna get 12 to 15 servings out of this. Now with that said, it's pretty hard to stop eating this potato puree at just 1/3 of a cup, so keep that in mind. Now we got those peeled, we're just gonna dice them down a bit. Go with about 1/8 on this. And we'll place our potatoes in a pot of cold water. And then we want to add to the pot 4 cloves of peeled garlic. Throw a lid on there, crank up the heat, and bring it to a boil. So once that water came up to a boil, I took the lid off, reduced the heat, just let it simmer away until the potatoes get tender, which took about 15 minutes, which is where we're at right now. And we'll show you with the skewer test how to know when those potatoes are done. Go ahead and turn the heat off. Pull our potatoes up to the top, trying to find a nice big piece. And when that skewer goes all the way through the potato, and they just about want to break up, you can see how tender that is. There's very little resistance, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll strain these off. You can check out one of these garlic cloves while we're at it. Should pretty much have the same thing with the garlic clove. Very little resistance. If I squeeze it, it's at that consistency where it's just gonna melt right into the puree. So return the pot to the heat. I'm gonna throw in 1 cup of butter. This is unsalted butter. And we've got 1 cup of heavy cream. And this is what makes this really a holiday dish, right? So we're just gonna warm the cream, let the butter melt down. We want everything to be hot when we get to pureeing, because that's really going to make the consistency and the texture that we're looking for. Creamy, not gluey. All right, so our cream and butter are hot now. We're gonna remove this from the heat. And we're gonna add those potatoes and the garlic cloves back to the pot now and hit it with the immersion blender. And we're looking to get this super smooth. Remember, we're doing pureed potatoes, not mashed potatoes, so I want as few lumps as possible. And all that's left to do is to season it with a little bit of our hickory smoked salt. And some fresh cracked black pepper. Let's mix that in and give it a taste. Such a great texture. Needs a little bit more salt though, so we'll add that in there, puree it down just a little bit more, and I'm gonna stick a lid on it and set it aside while we make our gravy. Now we're gonna get into making that turkey gravy. The base of all the flavor in this turkey gravy is really gonna come from the pan drippings from the turkey that we cooked in our last video. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go watch the smoked holiday turkey video and you'll see how we create these pan drippings, how they drip right off that turkey. run all across all the root vegetables, the onions, the squash, all that stuff. We've strained that off, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like now. So this has been in the refrigerator. If you're doing this live and warm, you'll wanna use a fat separator, but we don't have to do that today because all of that fat has come to the surface. Now I wanna skim this fat off the top because we're gonna use it to make our roux. We need about a half cup of fat total today. So we'll take what we can out of the turkey fat, and for the rest of it, we'll be using some butter. But this is just like a flavor bomb in here, so we want to make sure we utilize as much of this as possible. So what we have left here is partially liquid, but look at how gelatinous all of that is. That's from all of the collagen coming out of the bird. And anytime you see a liquid that when it's cooled off, it starts to look like Jell-O like this, that means it's just full of flavor. So we're gonna warm this up so that we don't put it into our gravy cold. All right, so we got that up to a simmer. We're gonna set that aside for now. Now that smoked holiday turkey blessed us with about 2 cups of those turkey drippings, and the flavor is intense on those. You can use all of that in the gravy, but you're also gonna want some turkey stock that's not quite so intensely flavored. The turkey stock you can use store-bought if that's all you got, but you can make this from scratch pretty easy from the trimmings from the turkey, especially if you're doing a spatchcock bird. You cut that backbone out and you use that as well as the neck to make a turkey stock, along with your mirepoix, some herbs, some bay leaves. We cover all of that in our How to Make a Turkey Stock video, so be sure to check that out. So I've got 2 cups of drippings and I've got 4 cups of turkey stock. Now we're gonna make a roux using the 1/4 cup of fat that we pulled off the drippings. We're also gonna use a 1/4 cup of butter. We'll go down with the butter first since it's cold. Now to make a roux, you want equal parts fat and flour. So we've got equal parts by weight today. A 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/4 cup of turkey fat, and then what that works out to volume-wise is about 2/3 of a cup of flour. But as far as the weight goes, that's about 4 ounces of each, fat and flour. All right, so let that butter melt down. Gonna add our flavor bomb turkey fat, which is already warm. And we're gonna go about medium heat now. Sprinkle in our flour. And we're making this roux because this is what gives gravy its thickening power. And you don't want to just go ahead and add all your liquid right away. We're gonna cook some of the rawness out of this flour. Darken our roux up just a little bit. But you should have this kind of pasty consistency once it comes together. And then as it's cooking down, you'll get almost what looks like wet sand. So just keep this moving so that you don't scorch the flour. This should only take about 60 seconds. Already getting turkey aroma out of that turkey fat that we added in. We should also start to get sort of a nutty aroma from the toasting of the flour. And now we see that the roux is starting to darken just slightly in color. We don't want it brown, but we do want it toasted. All right, so now we're gonna start slowly adding those turkey drippings. Just continuously whisking, and you can see how immediately it gets thickened. Just gonna keep this moving to make sure we don't have any lumps. And as it thickens into that paste, we're gonna thin it out with our turkey stock. Let's add just a little bit at a time to prevent it from clumping up too much. We'll continue just sort of in a steady stream now until we get it all the way incorporated. So it should look loose right now. This needs a little bit of time to come up to a simmer, and then it can truly thicken up and you can adjust your consistency from there. All right, this has been simmering away now for about 20 minutes and it's at the thickness that I really like. I'm gonna add some black pepper now. You wanna let that, whoops. All right, you wanna add your black pepper and then give it a little bit of time to warm up because it starts to release its heat as it warms up. You wouldn't wanna taste it right away. You don't really get a good feel for how much spice that adds to it. But again, this is just the creaminess that I like. If you like it a little bit thinner, you don't have to simmer it as long. You can add a little bit more liquid. If you like it a bit thicker, don't add as much liquid in the first place. If I were Chef John, I'd probably say, you are the guru of your gravy. Shout out Chef John, he's the king. Oh God, that was gratuitous, I'm sorry, but it is so tasty. So much flavor packed into that gravy. It doesn't need any salt, thanks to the turkey drippings that we added that had some of that ranchero in it already. The black pepper helps out just a little bit, but I mean, those drippings are the star of the show. That's a really fantastic gravy. Let's bring it all together on a plate. We'll come in with our potato puree. Got some leftover turkey to go on top of our potatoes. Come right over the top with our gravy. Creamy on creamy, so much flavor. I mean, the turkey, forget about it. Honestly, you could serve this potatoes, that gravy, on top of store-bought chicken on Thanksgiving Day. Nobody would even complain. Well, that does it for our turkey gravy and our garlic potato puree. Hope you guys enjoyed the recipe. Please check us out at allthingsbbq.com. You can pick up all the flavors and tools you need to pull off the recipe. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All Things Barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.